Welcome back to channel, guys. Back at Ultraflex Derby. We are on pull today, so just back and a little bit of biceps at the end. Walk you through the session. We've also got a Q&A today as well, so we're going to go through some questions in between. Take it one movement at a time. Right, we're going to start with Nautilus pull down. I do like the hammer strength one as well, but only problem is the handles are like 90 degrees, and I can't with the left hand. With my left hand, I can't supinate enough to get in a comfortable position, or I'll have to put my torso that way to accommodate for it. So these are a little bit more adjustable. So it's a bit easier on my elbow and my wrist. So we'll use this to start for lat. We'll do 2 lat, 2 mid back, 2 upper back, 4 movements total to pull, and then we'll do biceps after that, and a bit of rear delts as well. Not maxing out on these first sets. I'm just basically trying to get a feel for the load, and I'll do like 4 reps a set to warm up, but nothing to failure. And I'll work after 3 or 4 of these. We're going to go like 6, 5 to 8, potentially. That was overcooked a little bit. My left arm, my left lat and left pulling is definitely weaker than my right because of that shoulder issue, but sometimes I might even adjust the load to accommodate that, but I'm going to go down here by like 2 plates, do 1 more set, and then I will move on to lat dominant row, and then we'll go essentially the same thing, pull down variation or pull up variation, maybe on the assisted chin up bar for upper back, and I'll probably do the seated prime row today as well, although they do have a T-bar that I might use. There's too much kit here. It's a problem when you go into a gym with so much kit, you don't actually know what to use. I said, like, on my Instagram, I was like, for the last 5 years, we run every client sheet through an AI prompt to basically get some, to basically make that learn for what we're about to build for new content ideas, podcast ideas, video ideas, and it will basically analyze everything and give us, a summary of everything we've done pretty much for the last 5 years. But one of the things it pulled out was judge selection for athletes, male athletes, and from 2020 to 2025, 30% of the male athletes used the enhanced clients used Trenbolone within their protocols within that time frame. And I think there's a commonality now of like, you get to eight weeks out from prep and you've got to add Tren Ace in, you've got to add that compound in because you're 8 weeks out and that's how you finish the job. And it's really far from that. It's got to be selective. And I think for a lot of people, the benefit is pretty negligible in that time frame and duration at the end of prep relative to the impact negatively that's going to bring. So the question is, in what situation is Tren actually needed and outweighs the potential sides? I think the sides for the majority of athletes will be psychological to a great extent. What's happening neurologically with the deployment of that, and you might get the similar exposure to something like MPP in an off season. You might get a similar reaction. If you are particularly sensitive to that 19-year pathway and you add that in at the end of prep, it is going to be very notable when you're in that end of prep phase where fatigue is high, mental and emotional instability is high. The biggest one for me with Trenbolone is sleep quality. The ability to maintain sleep quality through the back end of prep. Typically speaking, for a lot of people, it will start to tank very, very quickly when that goes in. And when you look at the fragility of where your body's at in that very lean state, where recovery is such a finite thing, sometimes in those ways, like those tools really aren't bringing benefit beyond the drawbacks they're bringing and the negatives they're bringing. Like you are going to see potentially performance retention from that in the first place, but you can get that from plenty of other compounds. I think the impact on the look, again, you can get that perfectly well with much less sides management with plenty of other compounds. You can get the same level of response with a DHT derivative and something oral if you want something metabolized quicker, and especially around training as well for performance retention. So for me, in what situation would it be used? If I knew there was tolerance there, or they used it before with great success, 9 times out of 10, if an athlete's come to me that's used Tren in the past, I would drastically reduce the milligram per week they were using. Usually for most people, it's between 1 to 1.5 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. And when you're going to get guys that are coming to you that have done 3, 4, 5, 600 milligrams a week, and they suddenly take 100 milligrams and see the same benefit without the consequence of the prep, they're a little bit mind blown, but there's something in that. But I would say for 80% of athletes, A, it's not needed, and B, you may find the benefits don't outweigh the drawbacks in the first place. You notice there as well, like body position is not moving. I'm not laterally rotating or laterally flexing my torso, especially when I get it short as well. Like you're thinking elbow to base of spine or maybe elbow to hip, but I'm not articulating my body to accommodate the movement. We're keeping the torso nice and fixed. And that weight there was way better from a control standpoint. And I could feel it straight away on my lat. That first set was too heavy. Even Chris knew that. He was wincing behind the camera like, oh, too heavy. I'm gonna do one more there. I'm not gonna count that first section of shit. One more and then we'll move on to rows. Do you think we will see retatrutide more and more in high level bodybuilding? I think you're probably already seeing that, whether people are saying it or not. I think GLP-1 use and just more use of that pathway, I think in a lot of situations will become very common, because ultimately, like, bodybuilding is a hardship, contest prep is a hardship, and I have had a couple of athletes this year use it. One of them turned pro in May. I know you won't mind me saying, Eric. We used it for this prep and last prep. I've prepped him 3 times. The first prep we did for the Toronto, his sleep was diabolical at the end of prep from a hunger perspective. It wasn't pharmacology driven, it was hunger driven. He'd wake up multiple times a night with hunger pains, he'd go to bed hungry, and it was drastically having an impact on his recovery. And we added that in the last 2 preps and tracked everything with an Oura ring. And the restful sleep that he was getting, the deep sleep that he was getting was immensely different to what we got in the past. And I think that's purely down to hunger management, because every prep, every diet phase we'd run before that, the number one limiting factor was hunger at night. And a lot of people will be in that situation, and it does suck. It's the reality of bodybuilding, whether you want to put up with it for your own pride or whether you don't. If there are tools that allow you to diet more efficiently and allow you to adhere, I think it's a good thing when it's applied right in the right scenario. I think post-show management and the ability to manage eating patterns and the rate of gain out of the gates in prep is also a potential benefit as well post-show, to minimize rebounding, to minimize eating-based issues, binging post-show as well. So I think control there, it probably helps things a lot. But I think the main thing there is, what are we doing when it's removed? How are we removing it in the first place? And just the context it's used, because I think done without a thought process, it can be quite risky, because we don't want to fall into the habit of thinking I can only lose weight and diet using that. That's a risk. It's not really building a foundation there, but I think if you are experienced and you can use it as a tool, it is useful. It's just the only problem is everyone's going to call you a pussy for using it, but there's a time and place. Yeah, loads way better. I like this variation as well with the pin loaded, because the plate loaded drops off a load when it's in that short position, and it loads the length and range like a motherfucker. Whereas this is a little bit more even in the first place. So a nice one to do first in this session. T-bar next. It should be more mid-back, upper back. It's pulling around the scapula. Using that chest pad. I don't really like, it's like, it feels like I'm lying on the floor when I do that. It feels a bit weird, but, and I also like the ability for these handles to move more, so we're gonna do this. Just saying then, there was I think it might have been yesterday, Urs announced that he was moving to open. I was just explaining to Chris then, a lot of these guys that, I think he might have turned pro in open and then he went to classic, because like a lot of guys they won't be able to make weight as amateurs, so they'll do open bodybuilders and turn pro. I think, I might not be really true with Urs, but then they're always bottlenecked with the cap, and when he needs to suck down so much in a prep to make weight. Say for example in his off season he might be 270 and his weight cap's 220. He's always got to be 220 pound. By the time he does a pro show at the Olympia, he's got to be back there. And for a lot of guys, the longer you do that, you're essentially just bottlenecked into not being able to progress year after year. So you do lose a little bit of love for bodybuilding with that, but also from a health perspective, every year you come to make weight, especially if you're a young guy and you're still growing, every year you come to make weight is harder and harder and harder. You've got to be more extreme. You've got to do things more extreme to make the cap in the first place. And the actual health compromise there, whether it be extreme dieting, extreme output, diuretic use, saunas, water manipulation, just to make the finish line. A, it becomes harder to actually nail the stage look in the first place, but B, the amount of stress in that last 24 hours, 48 hours is ludicrous. So you'll see more and more over the next couple of years, if they don't change the caps, which they have done before, there'll be more and more guys that are having to cross that line year after year that will end up going up and doing open because they're removing a lot of the limitations they have in plastic. We're going to work up to probably maybe 6. I haven't done this for a while, so maybe 5, maybe 6. Don't know yet. Oh, do one lighter one there as well with 4, and then we're going to go single arm prime row back on the lat, and then move on to some form of upper back pull down. This is a fucking nightmare to do without a spot because it's so hard to get back as well. Do a single arm lat row. I was going to do the prime one, but it's taken, so we'll do this. I'm not a massive fan of this one, but the pull angle is good for lat. It's just the profile's a bit weird. You have to put loads of plates on it, which is a bit of a pain in the ass, but it's nice machine. So we're going to do the single arm. Then we're going to probably do some assisted chins for upper back at the end, which is actually quite hard even with a counterweight when you're fat and 125 kilos. But we'll start with this. Oh, why Man City? Well, it's actually a funny story. My brother supports United, so it makes sense for me to support City, but I can't remember who was manager, but they did a documentary. I was never like heavily into football. I was more rugby, and my dad supports Bolton Wanderers, and I can't support Bolton Wanderers. So there was a documentary that City did years and years ago, like behind closed doors. I remember watching that, and it was like the first documentary I watched that had like the manager and all the behind the scenes stuff and the team talks and the dressing room environment. And then ever since then, I just chose Man City. And then I became aware of Erling Haaland, and then Erling Haaland ended up joining City, and that was like my confirmation that I picked the right team. And then he signed a 10-year contract, so we're sweet. Although he was pretty anticlimactic last year, but he scored 2 goals last week, so hopefully he's good at my fantasy football team. Biggest difference in life becoming a father? That's a loaded question. Chris is a father as well. He can probably attest to this. I think day to day, nothing particularly changes behind us having more things to look after and do, but I think the purpose behind everything you do, also the dynamic changes behind why you're doing things in the first place, and I think probably perspective on what's actually important in life and what matters and what you value. I think your belief system and your value system changes quite quickly. But I think the sense of purpose and why will change quite quickly as well. Like when I would potentially a couple of years ago be thinking about growing the business and growing the coaching and growing the education, it would be, you know, I'd be very like analytical over numbers and revenue and the scaling of the company and what we're doing to do that. Whereas now I think it's more so what that can provide for the people around me, the people in the team, the people I'm close to, Hannah, Ronnie, and my family. And I think that paradigm shift comes from, whether it's like instinctual, I don't know, but there's definitely been a big change there in terms of what I value in life. And that's changed quite drastically in my eyes. Less shiny things and more meaningful things, I think, is probably a quite way of saying it. Would you agree, Chris? And it happens quick as well. Happens quick. We'll do one set and then we'll get back to questions. The same thing here with the pull down. We had the same kind of thought process of once the torso's fixed, we're going to keep that locked in, and then just think about the elbow being the only thing that we're driving back and in there. What is keeping you hungry and gives you drive in your job? Well, there you go. The answer to the last question was probably this one here. Like, responsibilities for me now go far beyond myself. They'll go to my wife, they'll go to my son. And I think that's probably a big driving factor there that honestly makes the hard work actually a lot easier in the first place. Like, I've been around, you know, Zach's a really good example. Last 2 or 3 years that Zach's worked really closely alongside me within Pro Coach, and he's become Pro Coach with me. Like, he's a dad of two sons, and being around that dynamic and seeing how hard he's worked, with that being the bigger purpose, and all the challenges that he's been through and the travel, and just being fucking knackered constantly, especially in that competition prep season when you're traveling all the time and you're giving 100% to every athlete, emotionally, time-wise, you're on your ass. And in those hard moments, I know that his ability to just endure that and just put up with it and just say good in the face of challenges and get on with it. Like, it's all going into providing for his family and providing for his kids and building something for them. And like, it excites me now to have the ability to be in the same shoes and have the same have the same belief system as well. Right, pull-ups. Why pull-ups, you might ask? Because it's always free and the lat pull-down's always taken, so I just do these now. Because nobody ever uses this. So I'm going to use a little bit of a counterweight. I'm going to try and get like 6 to 10 reps, overhand grip. It's basically like a terrorist pull down, but with a fixed grip position. And I'll do 2 or 3 sets and then move on. I will do a pull down of some variation in the week, but today I normally do this. Pull-ups, 125 kilos is actually quite difficult. So when I do 6 reps, I'm not just like really weak, but it's at the end of the workout, so I'll let myself go. Usually I don't have these. I've tried to borrow these when I come in now, because otherwise your forearms, like you can't even drive your car home because your forearms are so pumped, you can't hold the steering wheel, so you have to like hold it with your elbows. But yeah, 3 sets here, and then that is a wrap. We've got Austria tomorrow, Austria Olympic qualifier with Ladislav on Saturday. I think Zach is in Spain tomorrow or Saturday with Huss. Ross is in New York at the moment on a holiday / excursion, which I'm sure you'll see soon, but I can't say anything yet. And then I'm actually going on holiday in a week's time to Greece. Ronnie's first holiday. When I say holiday, I mean I'm taking my laptop to a different country to work, but technically because I'm sat by a pool, it feels more like a holiday than it feels like work, so it's technically a holiday, but yeah. I don't know where we're going, somewhere in Greece, but it's supposed to be nice, so that'll be Ronnie's first flight, which will be interesting. You spent years when you're like a young man hating babies on planes, and now you're that guy, so I guarantee you he's going to be perfect in the airport. We're going to go on the plane and he's going to fucking cry for 3 hours, but it's life now, so I've got to put up with it and deal with it and own it. I might get a t-shirt that says baby's with me, the baby's with me, and just carry him with her. We're here, like, I'm thinking sternum to the ceiling, and I'm thinking if I was to like draw it at an angle, the upper arm and the elbow is basically doing that. So we're going to go from in that kind of half circle motion under the armpit, which would basically just trying to target that teres muscle, which if you were going to hit a rear door bicep, which I'm 100% not going to hit, that little bit of width above your lats, underneath that armpit, anything in that slightly wider position, not super wide, but slightly wider position, where you're able to pull the upper arm around in that manner there, is going to be adding tissue and thickness and density and quality to that rear double bicep. So all your lat work where you're going to go into that low range for the lat, we're not really building that, that tissue up top.
Members' announcement, just to say, one black slip-on oak shoe has been found on the gym floor. Maybe it slipped out of someone's bag. We have it at reception. Black slip-on oak shoe. Thank you.
I don't know what she's going to say then. Steady on. Right. I'm going to count that as back done. We're going to go upstairs and we're now going to hit 2 movements for biceps. So we'll do 2 movements. Usually I would do preach curl first, but it's been taken, so I'm going to do low cable D handle curl, which is more like mid-lengthened, and then I'll do the gym leco preacher last after this. Usually I do it the other way around, but it doesn't matter. And I'll show you how I set it up. All I do in this situation is I would get a dual cable stack, and then instead of having to fuck around and balance yourself, you'll just hold the other cable in that position there, and then we're just gonna keep everything locked in. The cable itself, like height-wise, usually ends up being around like knee height or just below. Yeah, just in that position there, and we'll do 2 or 3 sets out of that lengthened position, out of that stretch position. Bring in the elbow pretty much all the way into extension to challenge that stretch position, and then we'll do preach curl after that. But again, like I said in the last video, for triceps where everything was single arm, I'll have the exact same thought process with biceps, just because I can't really train bilaterally effectively, just because the carry angle of both my arms and my ability for my wrist to get in that position is so poor. Because I don't get enough treatment, I don't stretch, so I need to take single arm so I can basically articulate everything in alignment on both sides. We'll work up to about 2 working sets. Oh, we'll do 2 here. So basically for biceps, I'll do 1 movement with my shoulders in extension, with my upper arm like virtually behind my back, or as close to as possible, challenging that end range, where the main challenge will be shoulder in extension, which is more stretch position, and then I'll do the preach curl, where the shoulder's then in flexion in this position here, and I'll challenge more at that mid and short in that range there. So you've got 1 out here, which could be a dumbbell, but I just prefer a cable, and you've got 1 up there. But they're like, if you look at the gym, there's like 4 different preach curl variations, so you can really pick preference there in terms of what you want. Some of them elbows are here, some of them elbows are there. It's virtually the exact same position. It's just shoulder in flexion, elbows higher, whatever feels comfortable. But 1 tip I'd say, not that I've got big arms, but you'll find that if you want bicep growth or tricep growth, but bicep growth as well. If you've always done things bilaterally, both arms at the same time, swap everything, single arm, and nail everything from an alignment standpoint where the joints don't hurt anymore, and all you can feel is muscle, and get a good pump and get good blood flow. And I can guarantee you'll find results a lot quicker than the other way. We're going to finish with the preach curl. This is probably my favorite preach curl of all time. I think with the carry angle of the machine coming out to in as well, it's a little bit more accommodating on pretty much everyone's joint structure and carry angle with your elbow. And it's just generally very, very nice. Some preach curls are horrendous. Even single arm are horrendous. And the handles doesn't feel right, and the profile doesn't feel right, whereas this is pretty much bang on in every aspect. I was just saying then, Magic Eye has just checked in, and he's a week out. He's doing double shows next weekend. He's doing Two Bros and PCA. Funnily enough, he competes whenever I'm not in the country, but I am going to see him compete later this year at the respective British finals, which I think we'll probably have 3 to do, and a certain international show as well. But he has fucking killed. The last 12 months has been insane, progression wise, insane. He basically stopped bodybuilding, retired, couldn't hack it, came back to bodybuilding and made more progression in 12 months than he has done in the last 3 years. And it's crazy to see him go from like dipping his toes in like 2 years ago and doing well that season, but dipping his toes in 2 years ago, to now coming back, you know, pretty much being on the cusp of being a super heavyweight. You'll be in the heavyweights, but like looking like a legit, complete, high level bodybuilder. And like, you know, I wouldn't tell him to his face, but like he's more than capable of turning pro this year. More than capable of turning pro, because he has the balance now, he has the muscle, and he's in top level conditioning, pro level conditioning. And this is a guy that is a full-time videographer. He does coaching as well, a lot of coaching, but a full-time videographer, fitting in bodybuilding with everything else, traveling on the road every day. He does like fucking 600 miles in the car a week, non-stop. Does cardio at 4 a.m, trains, doesn't miss a meal, never misses. And to do that at the same time, and obviously be a father and a husband as well, is fucking impressive, insane. It's been so impressive over the last year to watch him progress as an athlete and just really, honestly, push boundaries that are above what I actually expected from him genetically as well. And that goes to show, like, this guy is not genetically gifted to bodybuild, but he's done that just by pure grit, just by committing to the process and not really accepting anything else other than his best, and it is 100% every single day. And to watch that unfold has been incredibly rewarding for me as his coach and his friend to see that pay off as well. So Magico, if you're seeing this, you can wipe the tears off your face and stop crying, you little pussy. But yeah, I'm proud of you, man. That's also too light. Oh, that is a wrap. That is pull done. 2 moves for that, 2 movements for mid and upper back, 2 moves for triceps. Job done. We are away next week, but I'm going to record this, I'm going to post this next week because one's just gone up. So if you've not watched Push, go back to the previous video and watch the Push video. We do have a podcast as well, which Chris will be filming first week of September out of Apollo. So we're going to start doing that in-person podcast again with the lads in a couple of weeks' time, hopefully the week after you've seen this video. Thanks for watching. If you're not subscribed, please like and subscribe. Please share it on YouTube, put it on your stories. Click like on and follow on ProCoach on our socials. Thank you to the sponsors, Biolab, Medichecks, Supplement Needs. Discount is ProCoach, all one word. Appreciate you. We'll see you in the next one.